SIL made fun of my past trauma and tried to wreck my marriage. Now, I made her pay. I'm 30 years old and I don't drink alcohol. Actually, I'm terrified of it. The reason? I grew up with two violently alcoholic parents. Living with them meant constantly walking on eggshells. Each day was a roll of the dice. Would they be passed out on the couch or in the middle of a violent outburst? I learned early on that the sound of clinking bottles meant danger was coming, and the smell of alcohol meant I needed to hide. By age 10, I could predict how bad a night would be just by how my dad fumbled with his keys at the front door. Our house wasn't really a home. It was more like a war zone where I had to be both soldier and medic. It left me with PTSD, and it took years of therapy just to be able to handle being at parties where people were drinking. I never thought I'd need to explain why I don't drink. Most people just accept it when I say no thanks, probably figuring I'm driving or on some medication. But the real reason goes way deeper, leaving invisible scars that never really fade. When I met Mark 3 years ago, his understanding meant everything. He never pushed, never questioned why I'd order Sprite at dinner or sparkling cider at weddings. He just got it. And when we got married last year, he made sure our wedding was completely alcohol-free, despite his family's protests. That's just who he is, protective without being controlling, supportive without being suffocating. His sister Sarah, though, that's a whole different story. At first, we clicked really well. She'd come over every weekend, and we'd cook together, laugh, and share embarrassing stories about Mark's childhood. It became our thing. Saturday night dinners with a small group, everyone bringing food and catching up. I always made my signature virgin mojitos, and nobody seemed to mind. Until that night. We were having our usual Saturday get-together at Sarah's house. Mark couldn't make it because he was stuck at work. I was about to make my usual virgin mojitos when Sarah stopped me, saying she'd handle it this time. She came back with what she claimed was a new iced tea recipe from Pinterest. "Try this," she said and smirked. It looked harmless enough, amber-colored with mint and lemon. I took a big sip, completely trusting her. The burn hit my throat first, then that familiar smell hit my nose. My hands started shaking as memories came flooding back. Broken glass, screaming, the sound of my mom's body hitting the wall. Everything started spinning as I realized what Sarah had done. "It's just a little rum," she laughed, along with some friends who were in on the joke. "Come on, loosen up. You're always so uptight about drinking." I couldn't breathe or speak. The glass slipped from my hands and shattered on the kitchen floor. Someone was still laughing as I ran to the bathroom, but all I could hear was my pulse pounding and my dad's drunk voice calling my name. "Sarah said they thought it would be funny to see how you react to alcohol since we've never seen you drink." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Sarah knew about my PTSD from alcohol, but she still thought it would be funny to trick me. Why would she do that? I left while they were still laughing. I got in my car and drove, just needing to get away from anything that reminded me of my traumatic childhood. I honestly don't remember the drive home. I was too focused on trying not to have a panic attack. The next thing I clearly remember is sitting on our bedroom floor, hyperventilating when Mark found me. One look at my face, and he knew something was seriously wrong. When I managed to tell him what happened, his expression went from worried to furious in seconds. "She did what?" His voice shook as he pulled out his phone. I'd never seen him so angry. The call with Sarah was short but explosive. "You knew about her parents. You knew what they did to her. I don't care if it was just a joke." I could hear her yelling back, "God, it's just a little rum." "Your wife's such a drama queen," Mark shot back. "No, Sarah, we're done. Don't come to our house again." I thought that would be the end of it. I was wrong. The texts started rolling in the next day. Sarah told anyone who would listen that I was trying to come between her and her brother, that I was manipulative and controlling. She even told their parents I was trying to destroy their sibling relationship. She dug up photos of Mark's ex-girlfriend and sent them to our friends, claiming he'd been so much happier before me. The worst was when she started telling people I was the reason Mark broke up with his ex, saying his ex should have been his wife instead of someone boring who couldn't even drink. I'd had enough. I wasn't about to let her control the narrative. Here's the thing about trauma survivors. We document everything. Every text, every call, every interaction becomes evidence. just in case we need to prove we're not making things up. I had screenshots of Sarah admitting she spiked my drink, laughing about it with our friends. I had the group chat where they planned the whole prank. I had it all. So when Sarah's lies started spreading, I didn't panic or lash out. I just started showing receipts. Every screenshot, every admission, every cruel joke, I forwarded them all to the people she'd been talking to. I included information about PTSD and alcohol trauma, explaining why what she did wasn't just mean, it was dangerous. The support was overwhelming. Friends who'd laughed that night called me crying to apologize. People who'd believed Sarah's lies about Mark reached out to say how disgusted they were by her behavior. Even Mark's parents, who'd initially defended their daughter, couldn't justify what she'd done once they saw the evidence. They apologized for her behavior, but I assured them it wasn't their fault. Mark officially cut ties with his sister last month. It wasn't easy for him, but as he put it, family doesn't poison family. We've both started therapy, me to work through this fresh trauma on top of the old, him to process the grief of losing his sister to her own cruelty. Sometimes at night, when the memories get too loud, Mark holds me and reminds me that I'm safe now, that not everyone who offers you a drink wants to hurt you. That trust can be rebuilt, just not with everyone. I still don't drink. I still make my virgin mojitos for our Saturday dinner parties, though with a smaller, more trusted group now. But I've learned something important through all this. Sometimes the family you choose is more reliable than the family you're born into. And sometimes the strongest thing you can do is stand your ground, even when others try to laugh off your pain. The last time Sarah tried to contact us, it was through a mutual friend. She said she wanted to apologize, but only if I would admit my part in overreacting. Mark deleted the message without responding. Some bridges, once burned, should stay ashes. I'm healing, slowly but surely. The panic attacks don't come as often now, and I can talk about what happened without shaking. Mark comes to therapy with me sometimes, learning how to help when the memories become too much. We're stronger for having weathered this storm together, even though we wish we'd never had to face it. Last week, we hosted our first dinner party since everything happened. As I served my virgin mojitos, someone new to the group asked why I don't drink. For the first time in my life, I told the whole truth. About my parents, about Sarah, about everything. Nobody laughed, nobody judged. And when I finished speaking, Mark squeezed my hand under the table, reminding me that I'm not alone anymore. Some might say I overreacted to a harmless prank. But trauma isn't logical, and trust, once broken, isn't easily fixed. I've learned it's okay to set boundaries, to cut toxic people from your life, even if they're family. Especially if they're family. Because family should protect you from your triggers, not use them as entertainment. Looking back, this experience taught me that sometimes the most painful chapters of our lives become the most important lessons for others. Sarah's prank was meant to break me, but instead, it helped me build something stronger. A life where boundaries are respected, where love doesn't come with conditions, and where peace isn't sacrificed for others' entertainment. Today, I stand firm in my truth. I don't drink, not because I'm weak, but because I'm strong enough to honor my needs. I don't keep toxic relationships, not because I'm unforgiving, but because I value peace over appearances.